Next, Donald Trump expected back inside a New York courtroom at 10 a.m. this morning. This is going to be the second day of his civil fraud trial. He's accused of inflating the value of his assets by billions of dollars to banks and insurers. On Monday, his former longtime accountant, Donald Bender, testified that financial statements would not have been submitted if the numbers weren't verified by the Trump Organization. Let's bring in former Manhattan prosecutor Jeremy Saland. Jeremy, thank you so much for being here. At Trump's appearance, he was absolutely voluntary, right? He did not need to be there. This was an otherwise serious day, but it became, a Trump-focused spectacle. And in a press conference with reporters, Trump berated the judge and the attorney general. And that was before he even sat down. We do have these images now, though. He complained about being there, even though, he didn't have to be there. This was clearly meant to be part of his political campaign. I think my question for you is what bearing it has on the legal proceedings at hand.
Well, running your mouth, if that's what you want to call it, and I say that not in a courtroom by an attorney who is maybe taking some liberties and telling a story and telling a narrative, is quite different. And Donald Trump is, as people have routinely said, his worst enemy. But also at the same time, we hope and believe that a jurist, the court, is not going to say, you know what, I heard what happened outside the court, therefore I'm going to hold it against Donald Trump. But it's a bad move, it's bad form, and it's just basically another effort on his part to campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, as a political reporter, I found it rather stunning. He gets off the plane from Iowa, lands in New York, goes and does this. He is, in theory, heading towards a general election where he would have to appeal to independent voters. I'm not sure these courtroom pictures really help that, but you're obviously the lawyer. The one thing here that is on the line for Trump is his businesses, whether or not he can continue to do, have these iconic businesses continue to operate in New York. And some of my sources have said that's part of why we saw him do what he did yesterday. I mean, what is the fundamental risk to the Trump brand, to the Trump business empire here?
Well, it's significant. And I said to one of your colleagues the other day or yesterday or in the past, he's a desperate man and it's a desperate circumstance. And I think to a certain extent, he's reacting to that. Though Trump doesn't necessarily play by any rules, that said, the law is going to apply to him no matter who he is. So there is a chance, as we've learned and heard, setting aside $250 million in fines, his ability to practice in the state of New York and have his business go and thrive and access banks in the state of New York and just conduct business in the state of New York is going to be potentially just cut off. And it's not just for him, it's for Don Jr., it's for Eric. So there's real significant exposure for the former president.
Yeah. So while I have you, I also have to ask you about our other legal matter unfolding today, which is that Hunter Biden, obviously the son of the sitting president, Joe Biden, is set to be arraigned on federal gun charges. It's the first time that the child of a sitting U.S. president has been charged like this. What's the significance of what we're going to see today? Obviously, the previous plea deal collapsed.
Well, I think it's going to be, I'll use the term boring. It's not going to be the Trump spectacle. I don't expect Hunter Biden is going to rant and rave outside the courtroom. It's going to be an arraignment. It's going to be pleading not guilty. And then the case is going to be adjourned. I don't think it's going to be that exciting. We've already learned from his attorney some of the issues that he's going to raise. And I think some of them are very fair. There's questions about whether some of the prior agreement is still in place. There's questions about, who gets charged with this crime from 5 years ago, and the statute has actually been challenged constitutionally. So this is not all going to play out now. It's going to be fairly mundane and, I'll use the term again, boring. Just pleading not guilty. Let's move this process along. But I expect over time, as it heads towards a potential trial, there's going to be a lot more interesting fireworks.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we should note that, Hunter Biden's lawyers tried to, ask the judge if he could do this remotely, not have to show up in the courtroom. The judge said, nope, no special treatment. You got to be here. Jeremy Saland, thank you very much for being here this morning with us. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.